That's the 4:36 event. We have Minnesota Development, lane 2, Henderson in lane 3, Vesper, lane 4, Vic City in lane 5, Argentina, lane 6, and Henderson in lane 7. Now, if we look really closely, I noticed Vic City, you've got Piper and Antonia, who we just saw a little bit earlier racing.
A double, I believe.
So they are coming fresh off of another race. They're probably exhausted. In the semis.
In the semis. Impressive, nonetheless. That is about an hour turnaround for those athletes. Going to be a tough race, I think, but as under 23 athletes, they've probably been through this once or twice before. They know what they're in for. They've done the training, no doubt. The fact that they're here in the final will show that they've done the work. They know what to expect. And I would say what to expect is a lot of pain.
Oh, for sure. I know Piper and Antonia, they're both preparing to travel as well with that Trans-Tasman to New Zealand in about 2 weeks. Antonia was also in the under 23 women's 8 for Team Canada last summer that set the world best time, while Piper was busy competing at the 2017 Canada Summer Games for Team BC. Striding out here, it looks like in lane 5, we see those ladies having a pretty good race in the pair.
Yeah, so that really does speak to the pedigree. You get a former under 23 athlete, you get a provincial athlete, really high caliber of athlete. Having just raced, they know what they're in for, and they're probably doing all these events, even though they're back-to-back, trying to get that experience as a crew, as a team, to get ready for that under 21 event that they'll go to shortly.
Tight racing looks like following them for, second, third, fourth between some of those crews in there. The kind of unknown is Argentina. We typically do see Argentina coming up to Canadian Henley. They're a frequent international crew here. We also have Henderson. It's a U.S. rowing development camp out of Northeastern in Boston in lane...
3?
Sorry, lane
Lane 3 is Henderson. Lane 2 is the Minnesota Development Program.
The Minnesota Development Program. You got Katie Van Camp and Christina Anderson. Both those ladies row for the University of Minnesota. Henderson in lane 3. We have Rosalina rowing for Washington State and Megan for Boston College. Vesper in lane 4. Olivia rows for St. Joseph's University in Philly, while Sarah rows for the University of Minnesota as well. And then Henderson rounding it out in lane 7. We've got Sam rowing for Boston U, and Caitlin was just a freshman at Duke this last year.
So we do have some teammates at university in the fall and spring seasons who are racing against each other here in the club summer season, which is, I think, really exciting to see. Going to make for some probably good experiences and certainly faster times when they come back together in the fall.
Again, watching Piper and Antonia just striding away here. Piper's mom is decorated Olympian Brenda Taylor. She won 2 golds in '92 in both the women's 4 and the women's 8. Antonia rowing in the school year for Indiana University.
Yeah, the 90s was a really good time for Canadian women internationally. They had some really strong crews under long-time rowing Canada coach Al Morrow, and they, I think, would often double up. You saw athletes like Marnie McBean, I'm sure countless other names who would go to these events and do exceptionally well under Al Morrow's watch.
Now we're watching the women's pair, and I know my mom, probably watching at home, asks me questions about this all the time. What's the difference between a pair and a double? You see both women here have 1 oar each, so this is sweep rowing with 1 oar per athlete, whereas if this was sculling, it would be a double. So the pair is sweeping with 1 oar, and a double is sculling with 2.
And of course it's a pair because there's 2 people, right?
That's true, there's a pair of them.
Just to be clear. And then if it were a 4-person sweep boat with 1 oar each, 4 oars total, that would be 4. And if it were a 4-person boat, 2 oars each, 8 oars total, that's going to be a quad.
Last year's winners of this event were from the University of British Columbia, Savannah Sammy Bacon and Miranda Kirker, also incredibly strong athletes. And the women here, Antonia and Piper, look like they've got a fairly commanding lead competing for the Alex Sandy Greenhill Memorial Trophy. Alex Greenhill was a charter member of the St. Catharines Rowing Club Old Boys Association, which is currently known as the St. Catharines Alumni Association.
And yeah, you are right. Vic City with a commanding lead here out of lane 5. as they're coming through the 1500 meter mark, 3/4 of the way through this race, using those Brock blades that they've probably been using to train with the under 21 program. And just, you can't even see they've got that big of a lead. Lane 3 just chugging along, trying to chase them down, followed by lane 4. Lane 3, the Henderson development program, hoping probably to close that gap, but I think short of something catastrophic, that's a pretty insurmountable lead.
They look very comfortable. I was watching as they panned through. You could see their bow of their boat was just consistently moving forward. It wasn't moving back, forth, back, forth. There was no check. They were rowing very, very smoothly. So despite the conditions, you can kind of watch them navigate this, navigate the waves. They're steering a little bit, and they're going absolutely dead straight.
Yeah, doing a really good job, I think, pivoting around their pin at the catch. You can just see their outside shoulder as it just pivots around slightly towards their rigger, that piece of metal that juts out to their respective sides where their oars are. That just allows them to follow the blade, really continue a natural biomechanical motion into the catch, get a little bit of extra length while still maintaining really good body posture.
So they're definitely going for a little bit of a finish, but nothing crazy really needs to happen here. They just need to keep rowing smooth, clean, try not to hit the water.
And yeah, you can see in the background there, it definitely is bumpy here in the bottom 500 from this tailwind. Seeing a couple of white caps. Just got to make sure those girls from Vic City hang on, don't get too bogged down, and just really continue doing what they've been doing all race.
Coming through the finish, I have no doubt the grandstands are probably getting pretty full right about now, and they will be getting a huge round of applause as they win the under 23 women's pair. Big congratulations to Piper and Antonia.
You know, for a commanding lead, perhaps not surprisingly, since they've had about a 1 hour break from their last race, they looked pretty tired. Just the lie down from stroke seat into bow seat's lap. I've been there, I've done that celebration. In my experience, it's the I'm really tired celebration.
10.82 seconds ahead of the next crew. So
that is impressive.
No doubt their fitness was maybe a little bit tested with lack of rest between their two races today, but
it's going to serve them well in the future, certainly.
For sure. They're definitely ready to go compete in New Zealand.
Well done to Antonia and Piper from Victoria City. Coming up next, we will have event number 8, the men's senior single. We have been going here for a little over an hour with the first round of finals here at the 136th Royal Canadian Henley Regatta. Event number 1 through 19 will be running today.
Great shot there, just in the foreground of all the trophies that are being handed out today. It's really exciting.